Good morning. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present our paper. Well, evaluation of pectus excavatum normally is done by seeing the symptoms and calculating the Haller index, which normally is done by the CT, which has radiation. And we are a pediatric surgeon, so we are talking about children. We always try to get off radiation, or by MRI, but it has got a big cost. So thinking about minimizing radiation, as we have seen in different papers, we are thinking if the X-ray could be enough for initial evaluation and follow-up of pectus excavatum patients. So we want to see which correlation we can find between the CT, MRI, and the X-ray. There are different papers looking at the literature. There have, in 2010, 2014, there have been papers relating Haller index in the CT and in the radiographs, but now there has been description of new severity indexes, like the correction index with scanning grown. And for that, I just found two papers which compared both this index with the CT and with the radiography. There's another index described in 2015. It's the depression index, and there is no evidence in the literature. So the aim of our study was to evaluate the correlation of the three severity indexes measured in the X-ray with the CT and MRI. And we wanted to calculate the sensibility and positive predictive value of the X-ray to diagnosis of surgical cases. For that, we did a retrospective analysis of our cases evaluated in the outpatient clinic, which had a CT or MRI close to an X-ray with less than 6 months of difference. We did double measurements, so CT and MRI were measured by a pediatric surgeon and a surgical trainee, and the X-ray by a pediatric surgeon and a pediatric radiologist. We took the initial papers to see how exactly the indexes should be measured. So the Haller index was measured like that, and on the other way we can see in the radiography how we measured it. The correction index, we tried to extrapolate what we found in the CT to the radiography. We had a problem there. The problem with the correction index is very difficult to evaluate asymmetry when you are on a radiography. And the depression index, it's another index who takes the vertebral body as a standard, was taken as this way in the radiography. So with three studies, the first one we wanted to see the inter-rater reliability of the study. Then we made a correlation between the indexes measured on CT and on the X-rays. And finally, we determined the sensibility of the X-ray to establish surgical indication with thought of Haller index above 3.25. We took 20% of correction index as surgical indication and 0.2 of depression index. We had 48 studies of 43 patients with a mean age of 12.5, 70% male, and we showed that there was a very good correlation between measures taken by a radiologist, a trainee, or a pediatric surgeon. So everything was okay. And then we did Spearman correlations between the indexes evaluated on CT, MRI with X-ray, and we also saw a very good correlation. But the correlation was much better in the Haller index and correction index than in depression index. We thought this was related to the measurements of the depression index, which can be very sensible on the vertebral body. So it's very sensible, the changes. In relation to the sensibility study, we saw that the Haller index had an 80% sensibility and a 61% of specificity. Correction index 95 and 60% specificity. And the depression index 100% of sensibility, but just 25% of specificity. So finally, we draw the conclusion that, first of all, measurements of the three indexes are reproducible, done by a radiologist or a trainee or a staff member, that there is a very good correlation between the measurements in CT and the MRI versus X-ray, but it can be weaker for the depression index, that we can measure the three indexes with a high sensibility, and that the X-rays can be used for diagnosis, follow-up and control, and severity evaluation, but it has a very poor specificity. That doesn't make me complete substitute wider studies as CT or MRI for severity evaluation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you.